many, many times. Now, I can't, and I wouldn't want to speak for what transpired within the party, because I'm not at that level, even though I'm a strong supporter of the PNC. I'm a strong supporter of the coalition. I've not been to that level. I have just been ensuring that I continue to be a loyal party representative. But I'm saying, if I am wrong, then I should be told in no uncertain terms that I am wrong. If I cannot tell my president of the Guyana Teachers Union that he is wrong, and I said this earlier, then something is wrong with me and I am wrong too. And that we should seek at all times to use the forums that are necessary to address our issues and stop masquerading under the guise of this person and that person and hoping that somebody else will be our sacrificial lamb to aid our issues and to push our concerns, rather than standing up for yourselves and pushing your concerns. You see, the thing is, life will not be equal at any time for anyone. And so, regardless of whether I am right or whether I am wrong, I have to be Coretta MacDonald. I will not change to suit anyone, but I will observe the policies that are so set out in whichever organization I happen to be. In organizations, we have several sectors where we can address various concerns. And the thing is, we have allowed, and I'm saying we here, and I'm using it we loosely, because I want to include myself too. We have allowed quite a lot of things to transpire in the organization. And then when they got to the position of where they became maybe a monster, we have to now try to deal with it. But I would want to say to our supporters, your viewers, and everyone else who is within the space to listen to me, we have a mission to complete. We have a battle to fight. We cannot fight and win that battle if we have fighting within the. And in order for us to bring about a change, we have to start the change amongst us first.
I think that
is. And we should seek to use the forums that are necessary to bring about that change to the best of our ability. I am not saying that we should not speak when we get upset. We should not speak about wrongdoings, but we should ensure that we use at every opportunity, whether we are going to do it by petition or we are going to stand there and have our voices heard, we have to do that. Because if we don't, 2025, 2030, 2035, 2040 will come and find us right where we are now. And so it means, therefore, that we have to seek out amongst ourselves who are the best candidates to lead us.
Thank you very much.
And in so doing, we are going to have to throw our support behind those candidates, and even elected those candidates just the same way we would have either elected, identified, selected, and come up with the list of parliamentarians we have. When you find the parliamentarians not doing what you want them to do, you have to chide them. You have to tell them that they're not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. They're not representing fully. And it's by only doing that that we are going to be able to come to grips with ourselves and to recognize, because there are times when we do things and we think that what we're doing is the right thing. Unless others can tell us, hey, what you're doing here, no, I don't think you should have handled it there. As leaders, we have to develop that capacity to be able to listen, to be able to learn, to be able to make changes, to accommodate other views and to act
Beautiful.
on what is being said by the majority. It is
Oh,
only then and then
all that
we
point you
would
will
be able.
continue. All that point, Miss McDonald, will continue. Simone Barnes in the thread is saying the problem with the party is the lack of strategic thinkers. She's a supporter of the party. The party is allowing the PPP mistakes to go on unnoticed rather than to make it public. And Nigel Price has just said, well, and he's saying to you, well, start the fight by getting a proper leader. These are our supporters, black people, party supporters who are saying in response to what you're saying on this thread, well, let us start the fight by getting a proper leader. You are saying that whatever measures have got to be taken, and I'm thinking that at the next Congress or General Council or whatever it is in April, that measures will be taken. Opinion can be fact when you deal with real politics and how people feel. Joseph Harmon may be to yourself or people in-house, may be a strategic leader, but there's no confidence from our supporters on the ground in having Joe Harmon continuing to lead us into our next election. That's a foregone conclusion from the majority of African Guyanese supporters out there, with the exception of the mesh-cap old people who follow party lines blinded by, oh, whatever the party says, we're going with it because the PPP is the enemy. There's a revolutionary thinking now of truth and right, that we have to look to our own to see whether they are towing the line. And I'm saying, and I'm really happy tonight that you have spoken and you are true to your form and your calls are resounding and impartial. You understand? You have not come across tonight as a MP that is blindly saying, regardless of whatever the party decides, that's what we're going to go with. I am saying to you today, Madam MP, Madam Trade Unionist, outspoken, very radical, not warlike, but very radical in our views, our love for
I
our
can get there
country.
sometimes.
Yes, for the love of our country, right? The people on the ground, they are saying, Madam MP, this is, you have seen the clips, and there are hundreds and hundreds more of those clips, that people are saying, one, that they have now become clued up to what is the workings in the party itself, and how the party is misrepresenting them and ill-representing them, and they are now breaking boundaries to say, let us examine what is going on in the party. They're no longer saying that whatever the General Council does is through meetings and constitution, and they decide whatever in-house. The people are saying that the house is wrong. The house is in disarray. They are saying that the house has to be rebuilt. This is what our supporters are saying on the ground. They have refused to vote in bloc to give the party a conclusive win like they had in 2015 because they felt slighted. I hope that yourself and Amanzo Walton Desir and Christopher Jones and all those other young people in the party do not carry on the culture of a follow the leader regardless of what. My point is very clear as an activist, as an African rights fighter, as someone who knows that we have slighted our own people, that Joseph Harmon must be the first casualty for us to begin to rebuild the party and regain confidence. And if that doesn't happen, we will be going into an election wasting time, remaining in the opposition. Secondly, Madam MP, the response by the leadership of the coalition to these ills visited on us, upon us by the People's Progressive Party, is a weak response. Many are saying Mr. Harmon is compromised. The hundreds of calls I get from our supporters, how could he defend us when parties are being held by Indian businessmen on his birthday? You understand? You have neglected the African Guyanese. And listen, this whole mesh-cap business must be broken. Nobody must say, because we put up a leader, and the party decide that that is the leader, that we have to go down on our knees and see that leader as a godlike figure, see that leader as messianic. We have to move away from that. We have suffered. Our country, sorry I let you speak now, our country is pregnant with the wealth from oil. Black people got nothing. Police are shooting young black men again in their eye. They are oppressing African Guyanese, and the response by Mr. Harmon, the opposition leader, who is in the Indian man pocket, who said, according to the young man, that his first loyalty is to his business, and second, to his law practice, and third, to his politics. I am saying to us today, Madam MP, that we have to break this anvil. Yesterday, Amanzo Walton Desir, beautiful like yourself, said, oh, we should not try to wash our dirty linen out. I will not take the abuse, constant abuse of my people, you understand, over time, over the years by our leaders. And the only result we get is impoverishment, but we have to be asked to vote again. Let me say this to you, MP. I'm an activist, and I love black people more than life itself. Let me say this to you. This issue that happened at the parliament, I receive information, Madam MP, that there is an internal WhatsApp group and WhatsApp groups of the party that extended a call to people from Linden and everywhere to get busloads to go down and protest. Nobody had time with them. In fact, the only reason why Region 10 supported the coalition at this last election is because Sharma Solomon and Vanessa Kisoon and others were on the platform. The party has to be rebuilt. We don't want to hear anything else. Mr. Harmon has to go. And if you people disrespect the cry of our supporters, you will be removed also. I'm sorry, it's my passion. I do apologize for this. I know I'm sitting with a revolutionary, but this is the narrative that we have to. Black people do not have to suffer at the hands of their own, at the hands of everyone else. You understand? If Americans come into Guyana and run Guyana, we suffer. If Amerindians take over the government, we suffer. If the Chinese come and take over the government, we suffer. We have suffered at the hands of our own people. You can't tell me about national policies while young people are hungry like dogs. You can't tell me that you look after our people while the Indians who have resorts and all these fancy planes, Jerry Govaya and all them, taking young black doctors and young professionals to the resorts and having threesome with them, using black women while they're putting up images of black women on their knees with their children, begging elite nuclear family of Indians in their art, begging. You understand? I see yourself and Amanzo Walton Desir as leaders who can stand up and pull back our constituencies in place because we have more women and young people as our demographic. That if we have a James Bond or we have a Coretta McDonald or we have an Amanza, we are beginning to deal with what we have to do to ensure that we have a part of the wealth of this country. That will not happen under Mr. Harmon. We don't want Mr. Harmon. The electorate that support us don't want Mr. Harmon. There is no confidence. And if any MP stands up today and says that we have to stay in-house and battle our thing and work with Mr. Harmon, you will lose at the next election miserably. There is a revolution going on. You got to go back in-house and say the people say they don't want you. April, you have to go. This is pellucid. Go ahead, Miss McDonald. You have 5 minutes and then
I hear you. And I want to say to you that Coretta McDonald, I took an oath that I will represent my people without fear or favor. And I have taken that very seriously. And like I said on a program, I think about a month ago, as a black woman, I will fight with every fiber within my being to represent the people who look like me. to represent the people of this country, because I'm not a racist. But when you trample on black people, you trample on me too. And I am tired of seeing black people being treated like dirt. I am tired of hearing black people are hungry bellies. I am tired of seeing black people have to be stooping to get a few dollars. I am tired of seeing our young boys being misled for a couple of dollars. I am tired of the brutality that is being meted out to our young black women because they want to stay in company, because they want to maintain a job, because they want to have an extra couple of dollars. I am tired of it. And so I will stand with many others like me to ensure that black people are empowered. And I don't want viewers of other races to get me wrong. I remember Chedi Jagan saying black people are at the bottom of the social ladder a few years ago. I took that very seriously. But I comforted myself by saying anything at the bottom is the foundation. And if the foundation slides, then everything at the top crumbles. And I want to say this again to our viewers, that while it may seem as if we are at the bottom of the social ladder, the empowerment that we will be empowered with and the empowerment that we are going to give to other black people or other persons looking like me, it will cause us to stand firm, even while we are at the bottom of the social ladder, so that no one else would have the audacity, like the catfish boss, to say all they will come for, and I'm absolutely certain about that, is to come to eat the food. I'm not a hungry belly. I wasn't born with a gold spoon in my mouth, but I was way up there. And my parents taught me, and I'm thankful for that. My grandparents, they played a major role in my upbringing. They taught me that I should be one, proud of who I am. And whether Coretta McDonald continues to be a parliamentarian or not, I will stand up and fight for the rights of people who look like me, for the rights of women, for the rights of young girls, for the rights of the people of this country, to ensure that we are treated equally across this board. And I dare say, I am not afraid, because I'm hearing the jingles going along. Who will get jail and who bangles coming for and a whole lot of foolishness. But let me say, the prisons and the lockups, they were not made for dogs and cats. And when or if this Rasta happens to be placed somewhere else where she's not supposed to be, like the former founder leader said, another Rasta will take my place. And that can only happen if we empower our people to stand strong, to speak when they have to speak, and to speak regardless of who is sitting there or who is standing there. It is then and only then that we would be able to stand strong and proud as people of African descent. And you know what? I took real offense to quite a few things that happened over the last 2 days, because in this month of February, when we are celebrating Black history, and I'm seeing all of these atrocities that are continuing to be meted out to us, I can only say one thing. We either stand now and stand tall, or we'll swim individually and we'll drown. I don't know what happened. I'm not getting any sound from you.
Can you
I
hear
have
me?
lost you. No,
Can you hear me
I'm
now?
hearing you now.
Good.
I'm
Yeah.
hearing you now.
Yeah. Now, Madam MP, a question from one of our supporters, a black woman like yourself, an African Guyanese woman. Are you tired of Harmon? Just answer, please. Our name is Letty Daniels. She's a real person.
All right. Let me say to you, my dealings with Mr. Harmon would have come closely um, just after I have been elected with as an MP. I must say to you, I don't admire some of his style, maybe because I'm a radical.
Yeah.
I don't admire some of the styles he wants to portray in terms of the manner with which he approaches situations. I don't agree with them sometimes.
Yes.
But I'm saying from the time I've become an MP to now, I have seen quite a lot of changes, and I'm being honest here. I've seen quite a lot of changes in Mr. Harmon. And this is because Mr. Harmon has with him a group of MPs who will not sit idly by and see quite a few things happen. The reactions sometimes are a bit slow, but we because of the pace that we are pushing,
Mm-hmm.
we have seen lots of changes in Mr. Harmon. So for me to say at this point that Mr. Harmon is not a leader, or I don't want him to be a leader, it's a little too premature for
Point
me to
taken.
say
But
that.
I want to
But
ask you a question.
I can admit,
You've seen the changes. I want to ask you a question. Are you comfortable of going into are you comfortable with, sorry, going into the next election with Mr. Harmon as leader of the opposition? I want you to be
we
truthful
have
and
some time
honest.
to
I want you
we
to.
have
This
some
is
time to
serious
deal with
business.
that.
Okay.
Yes, we have some time to deal with that. Like
So
I
you're not
said,
gonna answer the question.
from
That's
then,
fine. That's fine. You are not answering the
yes,
question.
from then to now, I've seen some changes. And so I don't want to make a rash decision to say yes or to say no.
But let me
We have the, go
let,
ahead.
let me ask you another question. And this is very, very serious. The party decides if the PPP says somebody is not right, or if the person has an independent voice, regardless of if the person or persons would have caused the party to win the elections. The party has that power to sideline those persons because external views are saying, and it seems as if we want to, like, appease others. And so we get rid of Kwame McCoy threw feces in Freddie Kissoon's face. Kwame McCoy broke up Mark Benchop's stuff or whatever. When Mr. Jagdio and the party won the election, they had no reservation than to put Kwame McCoy as a minister in the office of the prime minister. And all the people who would have had bad names or whatever that the coalition was saying that they had bad names, and Anil Nandalal would have been accused of being a part of the execution, being a mastermind in the execution of Crummy Ewing. Jagdio never cared what we thought. Jagdio made Anil Nandalal, you understand, into the position that he was in before. Everybody that Jagdio had before that would have done wrong to African Guyanese, in our estimation, Jagdio put them back in power. We see a situation, Madam MP, and I'm speaking to a member of parliament, a trade unionist. This is not a woman in the street. You are a part of the firmament of the opposition in parliament, right? We see that the people who were responsible, primarily responsible, for creating the revolution that would have caused the PPP after 23 years in office to bring them down, we see almost every one of them being sidelined because of their independence of thought. because of their revolutionary spirit. There are some people in the party right now that will not talk to me because the party thinks that I'm attacking them. I am not. I support this party. I want to put it on record. But I love black people, and as an activist, black people's fortunes got to change. And if the party is not strengthened and rebuilt, our fortunes cannot change, and we will rise up against our own party. I dare anybody say to me that that is disunity. That is looking out for people. We have suffered under the PPP. We have suffered under the coalition. We continue to suffer now, but the party expect us, you understand, to just bow and follow the leader. Former
But
ministers in the wait a minute. Former ministers in the party have said that Mr. Harmon would have selected those MPs. Not one of those MPs, with the exception of a few, you understand, was known to anybody in the struggle. You will not win another election, MP. I'm saying this to you. Not one of those MPs that were anointed by Mr. Harmon, that were decided against the party, Congress, and Council, and the democracy that is supposed to be exercised in the party, not one of them were known to the party. They are Mr. Harmon's creatures. And Mr. Harmon is ill equipped, according to the opinion of our constituents, to lead this party. My question is, the Amanza Walton Desire, the Christopher Jones, the Coretta McDonald's, the Sherrod Duncan, those people like Aubrey Norton, who would have been sidelined by the old heads of the PNC back in the day, are you allowing that status quo to continue? Are you stepping in to say to the leadership of the party, this culture is over because now our constituents have become familiar with this and they're speaking out against it? Are you speaking a mouthpiece to say we have to look after our constituents, but our constituents are calling for the rebuilding of the party immediately by April? This activism, Madam MP, and I'll let you speak, really. This activism hasn't started 6 months before the election. Can you see the difference? It has started 6 months after we lost the elections, not 6 months before the next elections. There is a fire burning, and every one of you will be casualties if you take African Guyanese and your supporters for granted. They don't want Mr. Harmon. They respect younger people like yourself with vision and independence of thought that can come on anybody's show, regardless of if they constructively criticize the leadership. That is true leadership. You can't say, because Norman says something about the leader, we don't have to check whether it's a constructive criticism, but because Norman said it, we have to block him out, and everybody said we can't talk to Norman. This is not the culture that is any longer accepted. You watch the clip. My question to you, and I will let you wrap up in 5 minutes. We're really closing now. I will leave a nice laughing clip from Chow Pao. It's politically incorrect, but I'm really appreciative of your passion and your presence and your courage to be on this program and the way you have spoken. You have in my heart recognized that there is hope for the party. But when you go in house, you have to exercise the same passion to say, listen, I know the party has a culture of seeing the leaders messianic and seeing the leader in reverence or whatever, but I'm sorry, but the people out there don't want to buy that anymore. We in the interest of the party, Mr. Harmon, we will have to decide on the positive and the correct way forward for the party to keep our base intact. What do you have to say in 5 minutes, and we wrap up?
what I would want to say in 5 minutes is that democracy has reached a new height, and we no longer have persons who are going to sit idly by, especially if you're an independent thinker and you can reason things for yourselves. You are not going to sit idly by and allow things to happen. I feel deep down in my heart that in order for us to be able to become that force we were prior to 2015,
Sorry.
that we have to include, we have to go out there like the prodigal son's father and bring every single one of those prodigal sons who have walked out. We got to bring them back home. We got to ensure that the space and the door and the gate is opened for them to come back home, for us to hug, for us to say, look, we went wrong here, we went wrong there, we're not going to go down that road again. Our vision at this time is to see the silver lining across there. If we continue to neglect and to segregate and to create that sense of not belonging, then we got bitter days ahead. Maybe for some people, not for me. I have two sons, one a teenager and one 5 years old. They are quite intelligent children. And let me tell you what operates in my home. In my home, if you are not satisfied about something, I don't tolerate what happened with me when I was a child. If you're not satisfied with something, you have a right to speak out.
Yeah.
And when you speak, I understand the way you are thinking, and then it's time for me to say, hey, come, let me hear this story. And we reason together, the way my children and and their father and I operate. You sometimes believe that we have four adults living in this home because we talk straight and we encourage them to talk straight. Not being disrespectful, but to talk straight.
Yes, yes, yes.
To talk straight, because I don't want to have children, and I was not taught this way when I was in the Pathfinder Club and when I went through the Master Guide Club, because I'm from Adventist parentage, and I was not taught to sit and accept whatever. But quite long ago, our grandparents and so on, they said to you, little children must be seen and not heard. And you must only talk when you're asked a question. But we have evolved from
Evolved
that
from
age.
that.
We
Wonderful,
have
wonderful.
evolved from that age.
Wonderful,
And
wonderful.
so, in order for us to be able to make our contributions, we have to be able to speak. And that is what democracy is all about. And if we are talking about being a state or an organization where we practice democracy, then we have to allow the young, the not so young, the old, the not so old, the intelligent, the not so intelligent,
Intelligent.
because their vote, that single vote, can make a difference. And so we have to listen to everyone. We have to open the doors in terms of inclusion, so that we can hear from not only those in the top brass, but we can hear from those in the ghetto. We can hear from those by the sideline dam. We can hear from those who work in the rice field. We can hear from those who cut the cane. We can hear from those who are bus conductors and who are just standing by the roadside. And it's only then and then we are going to be able to make sound decisions that will benefit all of us. I pray that day will come
Correct.
when we would be able to stand firmly, regardless of how who see us, and to make our points and to make them with that kind of conviction, so that our leaders would hear us and they would heed our calls.
Wonderful, Coretta McDonald. I
I want
understand.
to close by I want to close by saying,
Before you close, a half-minute question. The budget is supposed to be read tomorrow, or is it
it
today?
was read today.
It was read today.
Today.
What representation was made to benefit our constituencies? What in that budget according to the representation of your opposition, that will say that your constituency will benefit from it?
We have not seen, we have seen absolutely nothing there.
So there's no
Just like
representation. Mm-hmm.
just like the hurry up budget we had a couple of months ago,
Mm-hmm.
where it was a private sector budget and not a poor people budget, we have seen the same thing happening. And so, as an opposition, we are going to have to forget the suit and the tie and the fancy skirt suits, and we are going to have to go out there to ensure that the people whom we represent, they have a voice, and that they can be treated just like the way other persons are being treated. We can only do that if we stand together with one voice, with one motive, with one objective, and with one aim.
Thank you very much. And you have said that we have to go back to the drawing board and to bring back all of those that we have neglected that are important to the longevity and the development and the future power of the party. You've also said that we should not be followers, that we should have an independent voice. You've used that in your analogy that we used to say traditionally that children must be seen and not heard, but we have come to a point now that we understand that that itself is wrong. And so we are constantly evolving, and evolution is movement, and movement is life. You understand? Coretta McDonald, I am elated by the fact that what I've heard about you, what I've seen about you, has been expressed true to form in on this program. You are a revolutionary, you are a woman who is candid, you are a stand-up person, and listening to you tonight, I think that the future of the coalition can be secured if measures are taken to catapult yourself and others who have been set aside, and others who are in the party like Amanzo, Walton Desir, and others, that if you would be at the helm of the party, there is a chance that we can remove an errant and wicked and devious and nasty PPP civic government. I want to thank you very much for being on this program, and I wish you all the best. Of course, we will have you back on this program sometime in the future as things develop, but I am remarkably you know, I'm acknowledging what you have said tonight, and I'm encouraged, as many of our viewers are encouraged by your passion, by your courage of conviction, and by that fierce independence to call a spade a spade. Thank you very much for being on Voice of the Diaspora. We want to
Thank you
leave.
for
We want to leave us with a very nice clip of Chow Pao, that is politically incorrect and is all incorrect, but it's satire. The program was very fiery, so we have to cool it down. Thank you, my sister.
yes.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you for
MP.
having Thank you for having me here. And let me say to you, don't bother with the MP thing. Correct is fine enough. Thank you for having me here, and I trust that God will continue to give us that strength that we need to continue burning that fire for our people who can't burn the fire for themselves.
Thank you very much, Coretta McDonald. Wonderful.
You're so welcome.
You understand? All of these Guyanese, let me put my hand together. If you're proud to be Guyanese, put your hand together if you're proud to be Guyanese. Say proud to be Guyanese. Yeah, be proud to be Guyanese because I'm the one proud political man. And I don't care what nobody says, people think for I proud. You understand? I don't care what nobody says. But all the sexy girls are want y'all scream. Lovely. I'm sorry for y'all nowadays, boys. Y'all losing men at an alarming rate. Who in there in the war? The police shooting them down. The rest they in jail. Some of them smoking crack and cocaine. And the other is gone. The other is gone. I don't know what happened. Bumsy broken up homes now. There's a serious thing with Bumsy. And them are the ain't care, you know. They coming up big. They call them GAP, G-A-P, gay and proud. Now what the hell is this? Hope I don't drink nothing. I don't use no alcohol. You train but smart me like you one of them. You want to work for me, no? Bamsi is a very dirty thing. There is not no way Bamsi could smell clean. Like this man, you see if you want to take your Bamsi, right? And you soak it down in sweet smelling water, right? And you put bleach and foam inside. And you wash it for half hour. And you come out. And you walk down there, come back and take your hand and mix up. Your Bamsi still stink. There is no way Bamsi could smell. And I don't know what going on. Everybody got an Auntie Man now. Auntie Man bus driver. Auntie Man bank teller. Auntie Man conductor. Auntie Man walking in the middle. I don't know. I don't know one of them. I went to school the other day. And I see Auntie Man teacher scolding a little boy watching. And I tell you, bring your home up to school and I don't care what you say. And if you bring your father, I can take care of him. Raising. I say, Auntie Man, police by border market. Look how we stand up now. I can't believe it. What's on mic there? No, put down this mic there. Yeah, he stand up. And I want to stop and snatch a lady chain around watching. Oh, God, thief! Stop before I shoot you! Stop! Pull out the gun. Pow! Pow, pow! He's going out of the man. You know what I mean? Y'all know? It's a chopo! Alright, more comedy. Imagine an Auntie Man rap singer. What he would do? You know what I mean? It isn't easy. Imagine a rap man start with fighting and puffing and shooting. Imagine an Auntie Man rap singer. Watch his style. There's the Auntie Man. Everybody clap. Clap. So you can call me Michelle. And if you talk to me, I'll get mad as hell. I won't get green, I will get blue. I'll take my fist and I will punch you.